All right, let's dive into Genesis chapter 11. This chapter is like a movie with two completely different acts. First, you've got this epic story of a tower trying to punch a hole in the sky. And then, bam, the camera zooms in on just one family whose journey is about to change everything. We're talking about massive human ambition, a huge course correction, and a moment that literally reshapes the world. Have you ever really thought about it? Why are there so many different languages? I mean, it's just a normal part of life for us. But what if I told you it wasn't always like this? This story we're jumping into says, nope, not even close. It all started in one spot, with everyone, and I mean everyone, speaking the exact same way. Okay, so verse 1 sets the scene. Picture this. The world is basically hitting the reset button after the flood. All of humanity is like one giant extended family. And here's the crazy part. Everyone speaks the same language. Think about that. No miscommunications, no language barriers. It's like a worldwide party where you can talk to absolutely anyone. Perfect, seamless understanding. So because they're all on the same page, they decide to move. Verse 2 shows this massive group of people journeying from the east. Just imagine seeing this huge wave of humanity on the move. And then they come over a ridge and there it is. A huge, flat plain in a place called Shinar. It's perfect. It's like a blank canvas just waiting for them. And they all look at each other and nod. Yep, this is the place. Now, verse 3 is where things get really interesting. This is like the dawn of a new technology. They figure out how to make bricks. I mean, think about the sound, the squish of clay being pressed into molds, the roar of the fire as they bake them super hard. They're basically turning mud into stone. And get this, they use asphalt, tar, for mortar. This is some serious innovation. Humanity, the inventor, is on full display here. Okay, so they've got this amazing new building material. What are they going to build? Verse 4 lays out their blueprint, and it is huge. They say, let's build a city for ourselves, and a tower so tall its top reaches the heavens. But it's more than that. They also say, let's make a name for ourselves. This isn't just a construction project. It's a branding exercise. It's about power, about legacy, and really, it's about making sure they stick together and control their own fate. Then in verse 5, the whole perspective flips. Imagine the camera just pulling way, way back from the noisy, busy construction site. It goes up, past the clouds, into space, until you can see the whole planet. And from way up there, this massive tower they're so proud of, it's just a tiny little speck. And we're told the Lord comes down to get a closer look at what they're up to. So what's the verdict? Well, verse 6 is pretty mind-blowing. The Lord basically says, look at this. These people are completely united, they all speak the same language, and because of that, nothing they decide to do is going to be impossible for them. I mean, wow. That's a huge statement about human potential. When we work together, we are incredibly powerful. The question is, what are we using that power for? And that leads us to the big twist in verse 7. The divine response is, let's go down there and confuse their language. Just picture the moment it happens. It's not a slow change, it's instant. A guy yells up to his buddy on the scaffolding, asking for more bricks, and what comes out is just noise to the other guy. And the friend yells back in a totally different language. Imagine the shock, the frustration, the absolute chaos that would erupt in a split second. So you have this perfect before and after moment. Before, it was a well-oiled machine, everybody working together, a perfect team. And then after, total confusion. Everything just stops. The project that was their symbol of unity is now the cause of their division. The work just dies. In verse 8 shows us what happens next. It's the logical conclusion. Imagine watching from above as people start to splinter off. You'd see these little groups forming, people finding the handful of others they can actually talk to. And once they find their group, they just leave. They walk away from the half-built tower and start spreading out across the world, taking their new languages with them. Finally, verse 9 gives the place its name. It's called Babel. Why? Because in Hebrew, the word for confused sounds a lot like Babel. So the name itself is basically a permanent reminder of what happened there. It's the place where everything got mixed up, where one voice became thousands. Okay, after all that drama at the tower, the story suddenly hits the fast forward button. Verses 10 to 26 are genealogy, and I know, lists of names can feel a little dry, but think of it like this. It's a bridge. It's the story's way of getting us from the big global event of Babel down through the generations, person by person, all the way to the start of the next big story. And it all lands on one guy, a man named Terah. He's our guy. He's where the story's heading next. And just like that, the camera's focus completely changes. We're going from this wide panoramic shot of the whole world getting scattered, and we're zooming all the way in. The story is no longer about all of humanity. It's about one single family, the family of Terah. So let's meet the cast. Verses 27 to 29 give us the family tree. You've got the dad, Terah. He has 3 sons, Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Now, there's some tragedy here. Haran actually died back in their hometown, Ur. He left behind a son named Lot and a daughter, Milcah. To keep things in the family, Abram marries a woman named Sarai, and his brother Nahor marries their niece, Milcah. So that's the core group we're going to be following. Then we get to verse 30, and it's just one short sentence, but man, it carries so much weight. It just says, "But Sarai was barren, she had no child." That's it. It just drops that piece of information and lets it sit there. And you just know. You know that this one fact is going to be the central problem, the biggest challenge for this entire family's story going forward. So in verse 31, they're on the move. The father, Terah, gathers up Abram, Sarai, and his grandson Lot, and they leave home. They pack up everything from the city of Ur. They have a goal, a destination. They're heading for the land of Canaan. But they don't make it all the way. For some reason, they stop short and set up camp in a town called Haran. And the chapter wraps up with verse 32. It tells us that Terah lived to be 205, and he died right there in Haran. So the man who led them out of their old life, the one who started this whole journey, he doesn't get to finish it. His story ends there. And it leaves the rest of the family at a total crossroads, in a foreign land with their leader gone. And that's the genius of this chapter, isn't it? It's a story of 2 attempts. First, you have humanity's big, ambitious group project to build their own way to heaven. And it fails spectacularly. It ends in total division. So now a completely new story starts. No giant tower, no grand project, just one family on a journey, on the ground. And the huge question hanging in the air is, where is this journey going to lead?